Are you just entering the job market in your country?
Do you want to find a job, but don't know where to begin?
Do you want to learn the necessary skills to help you find and apply for a job?
Or maybe you already have a job, but want to find a different one?
If you answered yes to any or all of these questions, then this course is designed especially for you.
Welcome to English for Career Development, a 5-unit course which will help you through the different steps of the job application process.
This course is designed for high beginner to low intermediate English language learners. Language teaching, readings, games, and assessments are adapted to your English level. You do not need to have previous work experience or have already gone through the job application process. We will guide you through the necessary steps during this course. If you have a higher level of English, we have some more difficult activities for you to do.
In each unit, we will focus on a different step of the job application process. We'll begin with entering the job market. We'll then move on to writing a resume. Next, we'll focus on the cover letter. Following this, we'll discuss networking. Finally, we'll cover the job interviewing process. We hope you will join us on this new and rewarding learning experience. We'll try to make the experience fun by giving you some games and exercises to complete along the way. You will also have opportunities to connect with other online learners from around the world.
My name is Robin Turner, and I'm a Senior Language Specialist at the University of Pennsylvania's English Language Programs. I have a BA in English and a Master's in TESOL.
And my name is Brian McManus, and I am a Language Specialist at the University of Pennsylvania's English Language Programs. I have a BA in Film and Theatre Studies and a Master's in TESOL.
Throughout both of our careers, we've helped students with the job application process. We've been on both sides of the application process, as interviewers and job applicants. We're really excited to be able to help you too. So welcome, and let's get started.
In this video, we will introduce you to the structure and goals of this course. English for Career Development has 5 units.
Unit 1, Entering the Job Market.
Unit 2, Resumes.
Unit 3, Writing a Cover Letter.
Unit 4, Networking.
Unit 5, Interviewing for a Job.
Throughout the course, you will learn and practice new vocabulary when you read articles, listen to recordings, watch videos, play games, and complete assessments. Each unit has specific language and content goals.
We will give you a quick overview of each unit. Don't worry if some of the words and concepts are new to you. We will explain everything more clearly in the rest of the course.
In Unit 1, Entering the Job Market, we will review how people begin looking for a job in the United States. Our language goals will focus on present tense verbs and compare and contrast structures. Our content goals will help you identify your skills and interests and read job advertisements.
In Unit 2, Resumes, we will tell you about the application process. This begins with a written summary of your job experience, education, and skills, known as a resume. Our language goals are using action verbs and keywords. The content is an explanation of the parts of the resume and the specific information that is included in resumes.
In Unit 3, Writing a Cover Letter, we want to introduce you to format letter writing in the job application process. Our language goals are past tense verbs and using modal verbs for politeness. The content will include professional letter writing format and important parts of the letter.
In Unit 4, Networking, we begin to explore the speaking skills that you will need to introduce yourself in a professional setting. Our language goals are using stress, rhythm, and intonation to make your speaking clearer. Our content goals are to make small talk and describe your skills effectively.
In Unit 5, Interviewing for a Job, we will discuss how to ask and answer questions effectively in a job interview. Our language goals are answering typical interview questions and asking clarification questions. Our content goals include job interview style, behavior, and expectations.
Reading and listening assignments are required throughout the course, and each unit has 1 or 2 assessments designed to help you practice both language and content at the same time. We are delighted to join you in improving your communication skills for your career development.
Before we begin, watch the next video to learn how to have your best course experience and enjoy our exciting Coursera community.
Hello! In this video, we will talk about the job search process and introduce you to each of the 7 steps in the process. Did you know that the average U.S. worker today holds 10 different jobs before age 40? For younger workers just beginning their careers, that number is between 12 and 15 jobs. This means that workers in the United States and around the world will probably change jobs often. Each time they change jobs, they have to take part in the process known as the job search. Searching for a job is part of career development. It's important to remember that searching for a job is part of a process which takes time and requires several steps. Let's think about the search as a journey on a train. The train will stop at many places along the way to its final destination, just as job seekers complete multiple steps in their job search. In the first step, job seekers need to identify their skills and areas of interest. When looking for a job, you should ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What have I studied? Your answers to these questions will help you to create a clear professional profile. In the second step, you create a professional profile. You write information about your education, your past work experience, volunteer experiences, or special training. Your professional profile can also list hobbies and interests that tell more about you as a person. After reflecting on skills and creating a profile, it's time to start looking for a job. There are many places to search for jobs online, in newspapers, and in person. In the third step, job seekers will need to read and understand the advertisement or job description. Then decide if their skills match the job description. In the fourth and fifth steps, the job seeker moves into the application part of the process. In this part of the process, Job seekers send their information to the employer to apply for a job. In the United States, a person will send a resume and cover letter to formally apply for a job. A resume is a written document of one's employment, education, and skills. The cover letter is a formal letter addressed to the employer to introduce the job seeker, show qualifications, and ask for an interview. In addition to cover letters, many people use networking events as a way to introduce themselves to future employers. This is the 6th step in the process. When networking, job seekers talk to many people about their skills and experience in conversations. Networking is focused on meeting people and building relationships in person. Whether it is through a cover letter or a short conversation, job seekers are trying to get an interview for a job. As the 7th step, the job interview is the best chance for the candidates to show their interest in the job and demonstrate to employers how they are qualified for the job. Formal interviews are often in person, but can sometimes be done by telephone or video. In all of these interviews, the job seeker needs to be able to ask and answer questions briefly and clearly. Let's review the job search process. Job seekers begin by identifying their skills and interests, create a professional profile, and read job descriptions. After choosing a job, they write a resume and cover letter to formally apply and request an interview. Job seekers often talk to many people casually in networking events. In a formal job interview, candidates really present their skills to a future employer. Now, let's move on to identifying skills and interests.
Hello. In this video, we will talk about how to make a list of your interests and skills. Then we will talk about 3 types of skills: things you do, things you know, and ways you act. Knowing your interests and skills helps you to choose a career that is best for you. Let's begin with a definition of interests and skills. Interests are subjects, ideas, or things you want to know more about. Interest can also be an activity or hobby that you enjoy doing in your free time. For example, if you like to play computer games, cook, or read books, you could say those are interests or hobbies. What are your interests or hobbies? Write 2 lists on 1 page. The left side with subjects or things that you like learning about, and the right side a list of things that you enjoy doing. When making these lists, think about yourself as a person, not just a worker. Let's look at this with an example job seeker, John. One of his interests is reading internet news articles about computer programming. He should write that in the left side of the paper. John also enjoys playing online computer games, so he should put that on the right side of the paper. When you write all of the things that you are interested in, you may notice that they are related or connected in some way. Many career coaches say that knowing your interests or hobbies often helps you to identify your skills. So, what exactly are skills, and how are they different from interests? First, a skill is the ability to do something well. Some skills are natural, meaning that we are born with these skills. Other skills are learned, and we develop these skills over time. Skills can also be divided into more categories. Functional skills are things you can do, like driving. Subject skills are things you know, for example, Japanese history. And personal trait skills are ways that you act, such as being on time. For example, let's look at John's skills. We know that John likes to read about computer programming and play online computer games. When he plays games online, he is able to watch the screen and type quickly at the same time. John is also very good in all of his math classes, and he asks many questions. So we can say that he has strong math skills and he is curious. Using this example, we can see that John has functional skills, typing quickly, subject skills, math, and personal trait skills, curiosity. Now that John knows his interests and skills, he might begin looking for jobs that are related to technology or computer programming. Like John, once other job seekers identify their interests and skills, they are more likely to choose a job or career path that is best for them. Let's review what we've learned about interests and skills. Interests are things we want to know about or activities that we like. Skills are the ability, natural or learned, to do things well. Our skills are often divided by functional skills, things you do, subject skills, things you know, and personal trait skills, ways that you act. Next, you will read more about these types of skills in the reading, What You Offer the World.
Hello! In this video, we're going to talk about some useful words and phrases that you'll hear many times throughout the job search process. We will organize these words into 3 categories: things, actions, and people. Let's begin with some important definitions of things or general concepts: occupation and career. An occupation is like a job because both are very specific. For example, being a waiter is a job or occupation. If Tom works as a waiter, a bartender, and a restaurant manager over 20 years, he can say that he has a career in the restaurant industry. An occupation is a person's work as a way to earn money. A career is an occupation or profession that requires special training and continues over a long period of time. Here's another example. Yuki has worked for the clothing company Uniqlo for 10 years. She began her career in the fashion industry with different occupations, first as a sales clerk, then as a store manager. Now she works at the company's main office as a fashion designer. Let's look at 2 more definitions of things. Employment is a general term for the activity that people do to make money. When someone asks you about your employment history, focus on work for which you were paid money. A job application is a written request for employment, usually a specific document to be completed. In the job search process, there are some actions or verbs that are very important. Let's look at 5 of these. The first is to search for a job. This means to look for work in a specific occupation. To apply for a job is to formally ask for employment, usually in writing. This means completing a specific job application or sending documents like a resume and cover letter. We will talk more about these later in Units 2 and 3. To interview for a job is to answer questions in a formal meeting. Most interviews are face-to-face, but sometimes people can interview by phone or video calls. To be hired for a job is to be given a job and then paid for the work. If someone says, "You're hired," that means you got the job. To work is to do an activity related to one's occupation. Now, let's move on to people. A job seeker is someone who is looking for a job. After a person applies for a job, they become a candidate or an applicant, which is a person who might get the job. These next two words sound almost the same, but have very different meanings. Pay attention to the ending sounds of these two words, employer and employee. An employer is the person making the decision to give the applicant a job. The employer can be a specific person or can also be a company or organization. When a candidate is hired and begins working, he is then called an employee. Employee is a more formal word for worker. By now, you probably noticed that many of these new vocabulary words look similar, but they are actually different word forms, nouns and verbs. One way to help remember all of these new words is to organize them into 3 categories. Things are nouns, actions are verbs, and people are nouns. Let's move on to a game where you can practice grouping the words into the correct category: things, actions, or people.
Hello. In this video, we are going to talk about how your interests and skills are related to different types of jobs. There are 6 types of interests that are related to certain kinds of careers. Many job seekers have interests in more than one category. This helps them because they have a larger list of work-related skills. The first category is for people who have an interest in doing things. These people like to work with their hands, use tools, and be physically active. They like to move around a lot. Some jobs that might be good for these people include working in a restaurant, construction, or farming. The second type of interest is related to thinking. These people like to work independently. They like analyzing information, solving puzzles, and figuring out problems. Some jobs that would be very good for these people are in a lab research or accounting. The third type of interest is related to creating. People who like to come up with new ideas and like fewer rules are called creative. Some jobs that are good for them include graphic design, fashion design, or maybe even performing arts, actors or musicians. The fourth kind of interest is related to helping. These people like to work with people. They enjoy working in teams and organizing. Some jobs that are best for them include teaching, or healthcare jobs like doctors or nurses. The fifth area of interest is persuading. People who like persuading like to talk to others and sell products or ideas. Some jobs that are very persuasive include sales and marketing, and also business management. The sixth kind of interest is organizing. People who enjoy organizing like to make sure a project is clear, they like schedules and rules. Jobs that are good for people who like organizing include business administration, management, and also research. It's important to remember when you're choosing a job that's best for you, you should think about your interests and skills and then find the best job to match. Many different types of jobs use similar skills. For example, a person who likes to help others and likes to be active might want to be a teacher, a doctor, or a tour guide. These jobs are very different but use similar skills. To summarize, we learned about 6 types of interests and job-related skills that match those interests. We also learned about some of the best jobs to match those interests and skills. Now, you'll move on to the next step in the job search process to create your own professional profile.
Hello again. In this video, we're going to look at 2 verb tenses, the present simple and the present continuous. You will need these 2 tenses to talk about your job skills and to prepare you for the job search process. We will examine each of these tenses, when we use them, and practice their forms. So, let's begin by looking at the present simple. We use the present simple to say if something happens all the time or is a usual activity. For example, I am an English language instructor. I teach English. I live in the United States. I work at a university. You can see that I'm using the present simple because I'm speaking about things that happen all the time for me and are usual activities. What about you? What do you do? Are you a student? Do you work? Where do you work? You might answer, I'm a student, or I work at a clothing store, because these might be usual activities for you. Let's look at another example. This is Marco. Marco is a student at a university. 2 days a week, he also works in a doctor's office. He answers the phone, he writes emails, he speaks with patients. These are his usual activities. Okay, so how do we form the present simple? Well, it's not called the present simple for no reason. It's actually pretty simple to form. You take the base form of the verb, and that's it. For example, I teach English. Teach is the base form of the verb to teach. The only exception here is the third person singular. That's he, she, Marco, the teacher, or it. In this case, we add an S or an ES to the end of the base verb. For example, Jane works in a hospital. She teaches medical students. She likes her job. Next, let's look at the present continuous, or as it's sometimes called, the present progressive. This tense is used to speak about actions that are happening right now, or right about now. For example, right now, I'm speaking to you about the present continuous tense, and you are learning how to use it correctly. Notice in this sentence how I use the present continuous. I'm speaking and you are learning. I'm using the present continuous because this is something that I'm doing and you are doing right now. So, we use the present continuous to talk about an action that's happening right now. Remember Marco? Want to see what he's doing right now? Well, Marco is checking the calendar and making an appointment for a patient. We form the present continuous by using the verb be in the present form. That's am, are, or is, and then adding the base verb plus ing. For example, Marco is working in the doctor's office. He is typing an email. So, to sum up, if we compare these two tenses, we can see that the present simple is used to speak about actions that are happening all the time, or usually in the present. The present continuous is used to speak about actions happening right now. Now, why don't we look at an example where we use both of these tenses? Let's look at Marco again. Remember, he works at a doctor's office. He is also a part-time student. What's he doing now? He is getting ready to leave the office for the day. He's shutting down his computer, he's turning off the lights, and he's locking the office door. Bye, Marco. To sum up, in this video, we've looked at two tenses, the present simple and the present continuous. We use both verb tenses to talk about job skills and to prepare you for the job search process. We looked at each of the tenses' forms and usage. Now, let's do a game to practice those verb tenses some more.
Hi there. In this video, we're going to look at job descriptions. We will find out where we can look for them and what are some of the important parts we should look for when reading them. When you begin looking for a job, you're probably going to search for jobs in job advertisements. You will usually find these advertisements in newspapers and on internet job sites. So we will take a closer look at an example of this kind of advertisement and decide what you should look for when reading it. When you begin your job search, you might first look for jobs in a local newspaper where you live. In the United States, many newspapers are now online, and you can find many jobs there. There are also websites that focus only on jobs, like in the US, Monster.com. Also, many larger companies have information on their websites about job openings. So you can go directly to the website of the company where you'd like to work. You will probably start by looking in one, some, or all of these places for a job. It is normal to try and narrow your job search to the field or area where you want to work or where you have training. For example, school teacher or office receptionist or truck driver or nurse. This way, you can match yourself with jobs that you are more likely prepared for and therefore you will have a better chance of getting an interview. So, when searching through job advertisements, look for job titles related to your area of training, experience, or interest. So now, let's look at some of the parts of a job advertisement. Say I am interested in helping people and I am an organized person. I want to work in an office environment with other people. I find this job advertisement for a client services coordinator and I wonder, am I qualified to apply for it? Qualified means having the minimum requirements to do a job. For example, in one job, this might mean you need to have a university degree. In another job, it might mean you have to have a license or a certification in a particular area, like driving a truck or being a nurse. How do you know what qualifications are needed? Well, the advertisement should clearly say this. It may say qualifications or requirements. Let's look at this ad and see what qualifications are required. Can you see where the qualifications are? That's right. Under the title Requirements, there is a list of 6 things. Number 1 is a qualification. Number 2 is work experience. Numbers 3 through 6 are skills, things that you are able to do like typing, good communication, and being organized. The next question I should ask is, what duties or responsibilities will I have to perform in this job? Duties and responsibilities are tasks that I do regularly in a job. Can you see what these are in this job advertisement? Let's take a look again and see. In this job, the responsibilities are listed in the opening paragraph. They include greeting clients, answering telephones, performing other clerical functions. The word clerical means relating to working in an office. If this job still seems like one I can do because I'm qualified and I can perform the duties and responsibilities well, then what do I need to do to apply for the job? Apply means to put yourself forward formally for a job. Let's take one final look at the job advertisement and look for this information. Can you find it? That's right. At the bottom it says, fax or email your resume to Pablo Cavero, and it gives his fax number and email address. So, if I want to apply for this position, I will send him my resume along with a cover letter. In Units 2 and 3, we'll help you prepare these 2 important things. So, in this video, we've talked about where you can find a job advertisement, what are the most important parts of a job advertisement, and how can we apply for a job we are interested and qualified for. Next, we'll play a game to help us practice some of the vocabulary we've looked at in this video.
Hello! In this video, we're going to talk about ways to compare different things in speaking. In English, we use certain phrases to discuss things that are similar or different. We often use these phrases as a way to describe 2 or more people, places, experiences, or things. Let's begin by talking about phrases used to compare 2 things. To compare things is to talk about ways 2 things are the same. Here are some examples of phrases to compare the similarities of two jobs and two places for job training. We'll look at an example first, talk about the grammar structure, and then use it in another example. Phrase number 1, are similar because. Doctors and teachers are similar because they work with people. The two nouns being compared are doctors and teachers in green. Then you see the phrase are similar because in purple, followed by the independent clause, they work with people. An independent clause is a complete sentence that has a subject and a verb. In this example, the independent clause has a subject, they, and a verb, work. Here is another example comparing two places for education, community colleges and universities. Using the same structure, the sentence would look like this. Community colleges and universities are similar because they offer courses in sciences and humanities. Notice that the independent clause in red has a subject, they, and a verb, offer. Phrase number 2, have something in common. Doctors and teachers have skills and interests in common. Again, the two nouns being compared are doctors and teachers in green. Then you see the phrase have blank in common in purple. The nouns skills and interests go in the middle of the phrase. It is important to note that you must use at least one noun in the middle of this phrase. Here's another example of the phrase have in common. Community colleges and universities have science and humanities courses in common. Phrase number 3, both and. Both doctors and teachers work with people to help them. This sentence begins with the word both in purple, followed by the two nouns in green, and the verb phrase for more explanation. The verb phrase is very important because it explains how the two things are similar. Here's another example using the phrase both and. Both universities and community colleges offer courses in sciences and humanities. So, let's review the 3 phrases to compare people, places, experiences, or things. 1, are similar because. 2, have something in common. And 3, both and. Remember that speakers use these phrases to make their ideas clearer and to explain how two things are similar. In the next video, we will look at some phrases to contrast the differences between two things.
Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about ways to contrast different things in speaking. We use certain phrases to discuss things that are similar or different. We often use these phrases as a way to explain the differences between two or more people, places, experiences, or things. Let's look at 3 phrases used to contrast two things. To contrast things is to talk about how they are different. For example, to show how doctors and teachers are different, we might say, phrase number 1, are different because. Doctors and teachers are different because they each need a special degree. The two nouns being contrasted are doctors and teachers in green. Then you see the phrase are different because in purple, followed by the independent clause, they each need a special degree. Remember that an independent clause is a complete sentence with a subject, they, and a verb, need. Here is another example contrasting community colleges and universities. Community colleges and universities are different because they offer different types of degrees. Phrase number 2 is unlike. Unlike doctors, many teachers complete their university degree in 4 years. This sentence begins with the phrase of contrast unlike in purple, followed by the first noun doctors in green. Then the second noun is said with a verb phrase for more explanation of how the two things are different. Here's another example using unlike. Unlike community colleges, universities offer master's degrees and doctoral degrees. Phrase number 3 is using but or whereas. Doctors may take 10 years to finish their education, but teachers finish in 4 to 6 years. In this sentence, each noun in green is part of an independent clause that explains how the two things are different. The word but or whereas goes in the middle of the sentence and shows that there is a difference. But is more commonly used in casual speaking. Whereas has the same meaning, it just sounds more formal. Community colleges offer associate's degrees, whereas universities offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. Using whereas makes this sentence sound more formal. Let's review the 3 phrases to contrast people, places, experiences, or things. 1. Are different because. 2. Unlike. 3. But or whereas. To summarize, there are certain phrases to compare and contrast how things are similar and different. Often, speakers use these phrases to make their ideas clearer. Now, you will go on to listen to a news report about how job seekers are using the internet and social media websites to search for jobs. As you listen, think about how internet job searching is the same or different in your home country.